Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Boruto anime review. This one's going to be for episode 142, which is called A Test of Willpower. This was a pretty solid, I felt, second episode to this arc, where of course in the prison here, and they're trying to help the Mujina bandit guy who can give them information. And they're ultimately trying to save him from being kind of assassinated by the other Mujina bandit guy, the higher up, who also wants him taken out. This one dealt more with, I suppose, Benga, the kind of main guard guy, and how he sort of has control in many ways of the prison, more so than Lord Mujo. But yeah, they dealt with a lot of interesting stuff here. I don't think it maybe accomplished as much as it maybe could have, but it was still interesting. It was still had a nice tense atmosphere because you don't really know exactly how this is all going to come together, be resolved, and you know when something is going to happen, when something's going to strike. And then I really liked the twist at the end that wait. The only way someone could have stolen the tag from one of the guards is when they came in to take Boruto out. That means one of the other guys in their cell was the one who stole it. And suddenly the attention turns to those characters who have been there. They've been kind of fun, but we don't really know much about them. We don't really care all that much about them. And now all of a sudden, those three are the center of attention. Is it the guy with the red hair? Is it the sort of mohawk guy? Or is it the big guy? Which one of them did it? And, you know, what's their reasoning? And just trying to figure it out. And I really like that speculation that it adds to it. In that, what this episode did was it told you something about two of the three. And the sort of reasons behind why, like, it probably could or should not be, like, each of them. In that, like, the big guy, we find out, oh, he actually sits in front of the flowers in case any fights break out and anyone falls on top of them. He just stands in front of them to protect them. So, okay, that's an interesting thing. He hasn't, like, spoken, like, the entire arc. He's just sort of intimidating, but here's this sort of soft side to him. So, is it him? I think that they're maybe trying to lead you to believe it might be him just because he doesn't speak. But then there's this protecting flowers thing. That doesn't seem like any sort of a villainous sort of action, so what's going on? The guy with the mohawk is kind of like, oh, maybe it's him. But then you find out that, like, oh, he potentially has struggle reading, writing or something like that, but like, oh, he's giving money to the guards to send letters out, but like that could be a more positive thing. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a full on, you know, he's corrupt or anything like that. That could be, you know, this very interesting emotional thing that he sends it back to like his parents or something like that. And then you have the red-haired guy who's kind of been like the main guy of the other prisoners, and the thing with him is that he's been very nice and sort of helping the entire time. But we know next to nothing about him. Like, they didn't reveal any sort of unique thing with him here, so I think he's probably like candidate number one right now in terms of who it kind of has to be. But we'll see exactly how it plays out. As for the rest of the episode, the main things we got out of it were that Sarda, through her investigating, managed to sort of turn things around between Mujo and Benga. Because initially what they wanted to do was that, oh, when the guy that they need to protect heals up, he'll have to go back into one of the cells. Can we engineer it so that he's put back in Boruto's cell with the rest of them? Because there's a space there. That would make sense. But Benga gives a variety of reasons for why that shouldn't happen. And so his argument has to take precedent because it's kind of standard practice. Then Sarda has to investigate Benga and finds out that, oh, he has actually been doing all these deals with other prisoners, and she gives that notebook to Lord Mujo, which allows him to sort of reverse the decision, so they have the guy in the cell with them. But now there's potentially a threat within the cell with them. Which one of the other cellmates is it? Really good setup. And along the way, we also found out that, like, okay, Benga took those sort of gemstones from the kind of main Mujina bandit guy, and he wants Benga to take care of the guy in Boruto's cell. Sorry if I don't have the names right. There's still it's only 2 episodes. There's a lot of different characters with different names here, but yeah, that's an interesting setup. It seemed like Benga was going to ignore it, but he seems to be fairly greedy about this, and I think that happened before the whole Mujo thing happened. So I think Benga might go back and actually want to go ahead with that now that sort of Mujo's taken kind of power again, I suppose. Beyond that, the main sort of action set piece of the episode was that they need information on things, so they go to sort of the boss prisoner of the prison, and when they go to him, he basically says, okay, I'll give you the information, but you have to perform a test of willpower. And so Boruto is all up for this, and the task is to go over to basically the lighthouse on the prison, all the way across the yard, and go right up to the top and take out the bulb in the sort of the light. So we get a pretty cool sequence of Boruto having to hop across the rooftops, climb up this place without using any ninjutsu. And then when he gets up there and gets the light bulb, it seems like it's a trap. Now, it was kind of made a little unclear about how exactly it was that the boss guy of the prison betrayed them in some way, and that it didn't seem like he alerted anyone. But maybe it's just a thing that happens all the time, every so often, they just know to keep an eye on the top of the watchtower, and that eventually they'll see someone and it will be oh, we got someone. That was the only, I suppose, kind of unclear thing. Maybe I missed a certain line of dialogue, but that was the only thing. But either way, Boruto has to get out of this mess, so he actually uses ninjutsu, but because, one, they couldn't actually see who it was up there, just that it was a prisoner, and then they can't know for sure that it was ninjutsu that was used, just because I suppose there was a piece of electrical equipment and it was raining. It could have just been an electric shock because he used lightning style. It was actually a very clever tactic from Boruto to get out of there, in that he didn't give away that it was obvious that he was using ninjutsu, and he's just keeping that to himself, using the logic of the guy that the information is gold. You have to do something to get that information if you want it. So that was pretty clever from Boruto, just to see him being pretty capable, getting out of a really bad mess he got himself into, and so on. So we a lot of that stuff kind of ended up sort of working out okay, and we'll see where we go from here. Of course, we're sort of waiting to get into the manga content of this arc, but this sort of prequel kind of bit to that arc in prison here is actually fairly interesting, I think. Once they don't do the usual Boruto thing of overly stretching this out, it should be fine. We don't want to be spending the next 10 episodes in the prison. We're gonna run out of steam within the next I'd say 3-4 in a way. So we need to get through this and get to the main arc that I think everyone wants to see. This is good for now, but don't overdo it, I suppose, is the main thing. That's what a lot of Boruto sort of tends to do. A lot of intriguing arcs, but then they make them go on an episode, 2 episodes, maybe even 3 episodes too long than they need to, and it just feels so stretched out. But yeah, anything else on this episode? It was just, I felt like an enjoyable arc, where we're in one of those ones where I like that for the most part, everything is being sort of treated seriously here. Boruto isn't joking around really, he's just sort of confident he knows what to do here. He's keeping up, I suppose, the approach that he needs to in prison to not be sort of picked on. And just a lot of stuff happening. Sarada doing good work as sort of the undercover reporter type thing. Mitsuki's being pretty intelligent in all of this, and same with Boruto. So they're accomplishing all those kind of things. But really, this prison bit is just to get information on the Mujina bandits, to set up the actual kind of arc from the manga. I appreciate giving a prequel to it, because I have always maintained that the Mujina bandits arc was a little okay, we're just jumping into this. Who are these people? And it gets to a decent point at the end, but it needs actually a little bit of setup. So I like that we're getting this, and hopefully when they resolve all of this and can get the information, it'll really feel like we sort of know what's going on. So that's a positive. But yeah, that's been the review for episode 142. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts are. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.